Today we're going to tie the Chuck Caddis. Chuck Caddis was shown to me in my first tying class years ago, over 25 years ago, out in Washington State, and it has stayed with me. It's a very effective pattern, obviously for the time period that and the hatches that it was originally designed for, but it's an excellent search pattern. It crosses over coast to coast. I find the pattern out here to be a little bit smaller than out west for the same insect, or a very similar insect, and it fishes extremely well. It's a have pattern in your box for that time of year. I start out with a size 12 hook for the East Coast, standard dry, and rusty brown 6/0 uni thread. I bring my thread to the point of the barb where we're going to dub our body. I use number 25 hairline dubbing, cinnamon caddis, and I dub a slightly reversed taper for this pattern. A little bit bigger in the butt end. A little fluffy there, and a little bit of a ball formed, and then bring your dubbing forward to about the 60% mark, maybe a little farther forward than that. That's a little short. Right there. At this point, you're going to tie in your underwing. I use tan wood duck, CDC. Sweep my fibers to the rear, and I tie it in a slight bit long, or longer than I want it. You want the tips of this feather to extend about 1 gap length past the bend of the hook. So I tie it in, and then pull it till the average feather length is 1 gap length longer. Don't worry about the few flyers. CDC will have longer fibers and shorter fibers, but go by the average. You can always pluck the long ones out if you have to. If they flare a little bit, that's fine, but you don't have to go out of your way to do it. It is the underwing. And next you're going to tie in the namesake of this pattern, woodchuck or groundhog guard hairs. I like working with this because I also use the underfur. It's an excellent dubbing material. I have a couple patterns specifically tied with it, and I blend it quite a bit with some of my nymph patterns. You're going to tie this the same length, 1 gap length past the bend of the hook, and you're not going to flare this. You're going to keep it right on top, like a tent wing, a closed tent wing. It'll have maybe a slight flare. You're going to put a slight flare in it, but you're not going to flare this like an elk hair caddis. Keep it on top, pull it to the length you like, and I sweep it back, and I put some wraps underneath to lock this. This hair does get unruly, and it is a very stiff guard hair. It will move on you. So I lock it in place before I do anything with it. And I give it just a slight pinch to flare it just a little bit. Just a little. Like I said, you don't want it really flared. You just want a little bit of an opening, but you want it on top. And whenever I tie with this hair, since it is such a hard, coarse hair, I give a small drop Sally Henson's before moving on. I give it just a second to soak in. This hair can give you fits. At least it does me. And then I bind it down and I bring my thread back to the beginning of the wing. Okay. Next you're going to tie in your hackle. I use Cree hackle for this pattern. I was originally shown this pattern using grizzly and brown, and then brown dyed grizzly came on the scene, the genetic hackle. But I've since gone to grizzly. If I can find a very heavily barred dark ginger, that'll suffice. If you're not fortunate enough to find a good Cree hackle. But I think this works a little bit better in grizzly and brown. Could that be mainly for me? Maybe it could be. And next you're going to dub your thorax. Same dubbing as your abdomen. Number 25, hairline dubbing. Bring it forward. And then you're going to palmer your hackle. I put one wrap behind the thorax, and then I bring the hackle on top. I don't put it one after the other. Leave a little bit of a gap, sort of stimulator style, but not too much. You want a lot of hackle in this pattern. You want to float it well, both for the time of year and the water conditions you'll end up fishing it, and for the size of the fly. And trim your head. A few extra wraps. Build your head. Trim any flyers. And whip finish. Okay, and last but not least, another drop of head cement. And there you have it. The Chuck Caddis. Excellent pattern no matter what coast you're on. A must-have in your box. One that I carry with me all year long. It's a wonderful search pattern in pocket water as well. The contrasting wing, I think, is a trigger for strikes, and it is a pattern that I've continued to tie now for 25 plus years. I hope it adds to your box. Good luck on the water. Thank you.